Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in and checking out my latest video. I want to say what's up to everybody over in the UK. I'm glad to be covering another fight over there, which is featuring one of my favorite fighters actually from the UK making a comeback, which would be George Groves. Now, George Groves will be taking on Christopher Ray Brasse. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. I'm not very familiar with him as a fighter, to be 100% honest with you guys. Um, He's being brought in basically to make George Groves look good for this matchup. When I looked up tape of Christopher Ray Brasse, I saw a guy who likes to work off his jab. He wasn't overly fast, and if you look at his record, he only has, I believe, 6 KOs, so he doesn't pack a very big punch. And one thing I noticed as well when I was watching him, he throws his jab, and instead of some trainers, they get you to bring your jab back to your face after you throw it or near your jawline area. He'll actually throw his jab and he'll bring it back and put it way down almost like to his pectoral muscle. So that's something that I could see could be a problem for him in this matchup because George Groves is a guy who does have power. Now, when I look at George Groves, this is a guy who has a lot of experience in big fights. He fought James DeGale, and he was in one of the biggest fights in British boxing history in his last fight with Carl Froch, where unfortunately he was knocked out for George Groves. But nonetheless, that experience of going up against top-level opponents where he had the 2 fights with Carl Froch, he also fought James DeGale. These guys are world-class fighters, in my opinion, very good fighters. So that's a great experience for George Groves moving forward. And I thought an interesting thing to note leading up to this fight, George Groves actually made a trip to Big Bear in California, where Gennady Golovkin trains out of, and he actually ended up sparring Gennady Golovkin. And I heard his trainer, Paddy Fitzpatrick, talking about how he actually pushed him to go over and spar Golovkin. And I think that's a great thing for a confidence builder for George Groves. If he can do well in sparring against a guy like Gennady Golovkin, who is one of the biggest punchers in the sport of boxing, it really gains his confidence back after his knockout of Carl Froch. And that's really the big storyline for this fight. How is George Groves going to look after being brutally KO'd by Carl Froch like that? But I think the way George Groves' personality is, he's a very confident person, and I think he's put it past him, but we're going to have to wait and see how he looks against Christopher Ray Brasse. Now, I do not expect George Groves to have any problem in this matchup. When I look at the skill set George Groves always brings to fights, this is a guy who can move around. I really like his jab. He's got a quick jab, really nice right hand, and he's actually a pretty technical boxer, and he can give a lot of guys problems in the sport of boxing, especially in his division, the top-level guys. So I respect George Groves quite a bit as a fighter, and I find his fights highly entertaining, and I really enjoy watching him. He's one of my favorite guys to watch, actually, in the sport of boxing. I really enjoy his fights. I really enjoy his trash talking leading up to fights as well. He's a pretty funny guy, I find. So, in this matchup, I'm taking George Groves to win this fight by mid-round KO, or he's going to completely dominate his opponent and look good on his comeback trail. And this is a smart fight that they put George Groves in. The guy he's facing is not a big puncher, and his skill set isn't that good, not nearly as good as George Groves. He's not on the same level as a fighter. So I expect George Groves to look very good Saturday night, and hopefully he'll have a showdown with Dirrell in the future, which will be an excellent fight. I want to thank you guys very much for checking out the video, and I will have some more UK fights coming up. We got the big Tyson Fury fight with Chisora. You got Billy Joe Saunders and Eubanks Jr., so I definitely will be covering those guys. And once again, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll be looking forward to watching this fight. UK fans are always excellent. Great atmosphere in all their venues. So respect all you guys, and thank you very much for tuning into the video. Appreciate it.